that must have been one hell of a tough decision for Hashirama to make, to decide to stab his best friend in the back, literally, thus ending his life and any potential friendship they may have in the future. I think that part of the episode in the beginning really just showed how much Hashirama had changed as well. At the end of the day, he realized something while he really treasured Madara's friendship, and he really looked at him as a great comrade, you know, up until that point. He realized, you know, at the end of the day, I need to protect the village. I need to put the village before everything. And that kind of correlates to why Sasuke as well decided what he ultimately decided in this episode, because he realized, just like his brother Itachi, Hashirama had to put something that he really cared for. Hashirama, at the end of the day, that was his friend, that was his best friend, that was his comrade. They had dreams of this village, everything. They were close, you know, they were very close. And for him to have to decide that, because he had to realize, I need to put the well-being of the village, the children, everybody, over my friendship and what I want, that correlates to, you know, Itachi putting everything, except, in my opinion, while Hashirama had to deal with some shit, Itachi had it way worse in this episode, getting a lot of those flashbacks, which there was kind of quite a bit of flashback in this episode. Some of it felt okay, it kind of connects everything, but there was a lot of flashback, and the Itachi stuff just really showed that, in my opinion, Itachi had it the worst out of almost any shinobi you could think of, just the hell that he went through. And, you know, again, that's really what I think pushed Sasuke to realize, sometimes you gotta be selfless instead of selfish. And you may want something, like Sasuke wanted his anger, his hatred, his revenge for what happened to his brother, but why not put that aside and be selfless and realize that do what your brother wanted you to do, protect what your brother wanted to protect. And I think to a certain degree it feels a little bit like, I wish he would have realized this with his brother's words and what his brother tried to present to him in, you know, certain aspects, but I guess he just needed to see the founding fathers and what happened, and kind of realizing, I don't want history to repeat itself. Then we stop the BS. Although, to be fair, it kind of makes you wonder just what the fuck did Madara pull for him to get out of that shit. I mean, he was dead as a doornail. Even Hashirama said, I saw my friend die that day. And just seeing the character development of Hashirama from where he began, kind of being a little bit naive to a certain degree, to ultimately having to do that, it was very well done. I like how ultimately that flashback turned out. A little bit too much flashback in the flashback as well, but overall that flashback just really showed two friends that ultimately had to clash, and it ended up going the way it did. This episode, to a certain degree, it was trying to excuse, in a way Tobirama was trying to explain himself regarding his hatred towards the Uchiha. He's like, I'm not a racist. You know, I kind of felt like it was like Sasuke looked at him like, yo, aren't you racist against the Uchiha? And he's like, oh no, I'm not a racist. I'm racist against almost anyone that basically has some sort of suspicious nature to them against my village. So he's the type of person that, you guys are something to be worried about. Fuck you guys. I'm going to look at you guys with the utmost disgust, and I'm going to make sure that I solve this problem. So he's not that he was, I guess, outcasting them in particular. It was just that was the glaring problem around his life. And again, you know, he's been through a lot with the Uchiha. So while it's still not excusable completely, because I still stand by what I said, that a lot of what he did pass down to people like Danzo, pieces of shit, garbage, filth, disgusting, worthless bags of shit, like Danzo, adopted those ideals. He might have twisted them, he might have took them way too far, because at the end of the day, he was a radical. He was just like outrageous with some of the shit that he did compared to Tobirama, but he could have went about things in a different way, a little less. I'm not saying being like Hashirama, because Hashirama was a lot more passive and wasn't as ruling with an iron fist, but he was a little bit too much, I still say. It makes a little bit more sense, and it sheds a little bit more light and doesn't make him seem as fucked up. Tobirama kind of saying, you know, it's just anybody that I feel like you're an asshole or there's something to be worried about you, I'm gonna treat you like a fucking piece of shit. So he's not racist against one person, he hates everybody equally. Now I was curious, because in the manga it said that Kagami was the father to Shisui, but in the anime it said that he was just a descendant. I'm curious if that was just a translation error. What descendant was he? Because I assumed, okay, in the manga it said, you know, father and son, but here it said descendant. So unless they were just abbreviating it, they didn't want to say father and son, why the change? And I think at the end of the day, within the episode, you see a lot of the Hokage are blaming themselves. It's like the third is like, I fucked up, I put a lot of the pressure on Danzo, and ultimately things turned out this way. Then you got the fourth blaming himself, no, I died too early. Ultimately, a lot of the blame could be passed around. At the end of the day, it started off with Hashirama. Had he killed Madara way back then, maybe things wouldn't have turned out like this. You know, ultimately he maybe could have done this a lot earlier. Tobirama ruling with an iron fist, a lot of his racist ways. The third being very passive, letting Danzo do whatever the fuck he wants. The fourth dying early. I mean, at the end of the day, I'd say the fourth, if anything, he has the least blame because he can't help it. He fucking, he was going up against this masked crazy nut at the time. He had the QB, the Nine Tails, the full power of the Nine Tails at his fucking neck. So maybe the least blame I could say would be passed on the fourth because ultimately he can't help it. He fucking died early. What do you want? And then Tsunade, at the end of the day, she's been basically having to rely on a little kid, Naruto, a 15-year-old, to do everything. So at the end of the day, the blame can be passed around. I'd argue maybe the fourth has the least amount of blame, but ultimately they all failed in some way or another. So while they were all blaming themselves, it was all of you that had a little partial blame everywhere. Anyone else catch that? Orochimaru kind of being a little bit butthurt that Minato was chosen over him to become Hokage. I wonder if that had anything to do with him attacking the village, because till this very day, even with Orochimaru trying to pass off that he's like, I've changed a little bit now, I'm not the same, I still don't buy it. And I honestly wouldn't be surprised, again, I've said this multiple times, if after everything happens, even after this war, Orochimaru becomes the final villain, because I will never buy this guy that was doing all these fucked up things. Like, all the people around him practically are all fucked up in experiments because of him. Look at fucking Suigetsu, Jugo, Karin. I'll get to that in a second, though. So I just really don't buy this whole shit with him saying, yeah, I kind of seen things different. Maybe he has a little bit of a different perspective on things, but ultimately this is the same motherfucker that was putting people in cages, torturing them, doing all sorts of fucked up shit just to experiment. People don't change that easily regardless of what, especially somebody like Orochimaru with this suspicious nature. But now to Karin. Karin. Hands down, the worst female in all of Naruto. 10-10 with no personality, no character development since like her first fucking fight. Better fucking female than this worthless piece of crap Karin. Oh my god, I hate her. She is one of the most stupidest motherfuckers, and it's like, it felt a bit ridiculous, and this was one of the bits of the episode that I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Sasuke tried to kill her. He stabbed right through her, not giving no fucks. And a simple apology, she's like, oh, Sasuke, like, you stupid fucking bitch. Karin, worst female of not only Naruto, but one of the worst females in any fucking anime or manga. She is absolutely pathetic, stupid. It would have been one thing if he threatened to kill her. It would have been one thing if he's done, like, maybe, smacked her once or twice. But he fucking stabbed right through you, leaving you for dead. He left this bitch for dead. And she's just coming out there, like, at first beating up Suigetsu, which they try to play it off as comical, but at the end of the day, Karin is one of the stupidest bitches in all of anime and manga history. I fucking hate Karin. Yes, even Sakura, that people fucking hate and I'm not a fan of, even Sakura is a better female than Karin. At least at the end of the day, Sakura didn't get stabbed by Sasuke, and at the end of the day, Sakura has a little bit more common sense and she's more useful than Karin. At least she got some fucking muscles. End of mini Karin rant. And I like how at the end of the episode they all use the flying Raijin and yet they only move like 20 feet or so. It's like, yeah, really flying far, bro. It was nice seeing some of the Hokage, like the third, saying, I haven't been in war in a long time. That just really got me pumped at the end of the episode. Them heading towards the battlefield. Minato saying, I have a big surprise for you. Makes you wonder what the surprise could be from Minato. And ultimately, just good episode. Bit too much flashback. Fuck Karin. She's a fucking retarded sack of shit. And yeah, it was a good episode. Maybe cut down on the flashback a bit too much, but there was some good content in there. And ultimately, Sasuke came to his decision, which was good progression. I mean, I feel he should have came to this decision after finding out the true truth from his brother of everything. He should have been like, okay, you know what? My brother sacrificed a lot. Fuck it. I'm just going to do what my brother wanted. I'm going to honor his memory. It took a little bit too much, in my opinion, to get him there, but at least he finally realized, I love my brother and I'm going to, protect his memory and protect what he was trying to protect his entire life. Dying a proud ninja of the leaf. So, in that aspect, good shit there. Good episode. I'm going to give this one a 7 out of 10. Flashback played, but ultimately, it did what it needed to do, and that's a good thing. But still, fuck Karin. Let me know what you guys think, first of all, regarding Sasuke making his decision. Did you want him to make a decision to destroy the leaf? I mean, at the end of the day, let's be real here. The only one that Orochimaru couldn't control there was Hashirama. Like, Hashirama could probably rip Sasuke's neck off had Sasuke said, oh, I thought about it. I'm going to use a Amaterasu on the leaf right now. Be right back. That was not going to happen. And also, what do you think about Orochimaru kind of talking That must have been one hell of a tough decision for Hashirama to make, to decide to stab his best friend in the back, literally, thus ending his life and any potential friendship they may have in the future. I think that part of the episode in the beginning really just showed how much Hashirama had changed as well. At the end of the day, he realized something while he really treasured Madara's friendship, and he really looked at him as a great comrade, you know, up until that point. He realized, you know, at the end of the day, I need to protect the village. I need to put the village before everything. And that kind of correlates to why Sasuke as well decided what he ultimately decided in this episode, because he realized, just like his brother Itachi, Hashirama had to put something that he really cared for. Hashirama, at the end of the day, that was his friend, that was his best friend, that was his comrade. They had dreams of this village, everything. They were close, you know, they were very close. And for him to have to decide that, because he had to realize, I need to put the well-being of the village, the children, everybody over my friendship and what I want, that correlates to, you know, Itachi putting everything